My in-laws took my name off the joint business my husband and I built without telling me. When I found out, my sister-in-law mocked. You? You were just the coffee girl. Now you're nothing. My husband didn't deny it. He just said, it's for the best. I took my phone, smiled politely, and left. They don't know what I've been preparing in the background for months. But they're about to find out. I met Matt when I was 24 and working the front desk at a local gym in Columbia, South Carolina. He was older than me by 5 years and worked in finance. Sharp jawline, good smile, very charming in that quiet, professional way. We met because he used to come in every morning before work, and one day, I made a joke about his ratty shoes. He laughed, we talked, and the rest happened fast. We got married within a year and a half. He had this dream of opening a small consulting firm, something for small businesses who couldn't afford big-name agencies. I had saved a bit from working multiple jobs, and Matt had a chunk of change from a small inheritance. We both threw everything we had into the business. I didn't just support him, I built that thing with him. From day one, I was there. I was setting up the first office, printing business cards on my old HP printer at home, designing the logo, building the website on Wix, keeping the books, answering calls, and making appointments. I even did the cold calls in the early days. He hated those. I did them anyway. We had no staff for the first 9 months. Just me and him. I was not the damn coffee girl. The business started growing. Clients came in. Word spread. We started hiring part-time staff, then full-timers. Eventually, his younger sister, Marissa, came in as project manager. Though I'll tell you now, she mostly sat on her phone and planned weekend trips. Matt's parents invested later on. Once we'd already made it through the hard part, they got partial ownership, and suddenly I was being pushed more and more to the side. At first, I let it go. Family, right? Then the meetings started happening without me. Then the credit cards changed. My name wasn't on them anymore. I asked Matt about it, and he'd say things like, "You've been stressed lately, babe. Maybe it's time you let go a little." So I focused more on the admin stuff. I handled the messy details, the accounts, the taxes, vendor contracts. I stayed quiet because I thought it was just growing pains. Then 3 months ago, I walked into our office and saw everyone in the conference room. I wasn't invited to that meeting. Marissa looked up from her laptop and grinned. "Hey," she said, "you probably don't need to sit in for this one." I remember standing there, confused. What meeting? Matt looked uncomfortable. "It's just a restructuring conversation." Of what? He didn't answer. I walked out and went home. That night, I started digging. And what I found hit me like a punch in the gut. My name was no longer on the LLC. Not as an owner. Not even as a staff member. Nothing. I checked the Secretary of State's site 3 times. Matt and his parents had filed a new operating agreement. My name had been removed. I wasn't even notified. I confronted Matt that night, shaking, holding my phone up to his face. "What the hell is this?" I asked. He looked tired, like I was the one making things hard. "It's for the best," he said. Just like that. When I went into the office the next day to confront them, Marissa was there waiting. She crossed her arms, smirking. You were just the coffee girl. Now you're nothing." Everyone just stood there. Matt didn't defend me. He didn't say a damn word. I felt humiliated. After everything I'd done, every dollar, every hour, every favor I pulled for them, I was treated like I was disposable. So I smiled. I picked up my phone, told them I was stepping out, and I left. They didn't know that I'd already started preparing something on the side. Long before that moment. Because something hadn't felt right for a while. Back in January, I'd noticed strange things. Small vendors complaining about not being paid. Invoices I didn't recognize. So I quietly started downloading everything. Every bank statement. Every payroll record. Every email chain where I was CC'd in the early years. I made backups of the cloud drives. Even the emails they didn't think I still had access to. I kept everything. I found the patterns. The expense fraud. The payroll shenanigans. I found how Matt had reclassified expenses to show investor losses so his parents could write things off. I even found a copy of a fake employee profile Marissa made to double dip salary on the books. They thought I was just the dumb admin wife, shuffling papers and brewing coffee. But I'd been documenting everything. And while they were kicking me out of the business I helped build, I was quietly building something else. A second company, one that would compete directly with them. I'd already registered it in a neighboring city, Greenville. I hired 2 of our former junior consultants, people who respected me, and who had no love for Matt and his family. I had a fresh brand, new service offerings, and, most importantly, I had a list of clients we built relationships with over the last 5 years. Because I was the one they called when invoices were late. I was the one who smoothed over mistakes and brought cookies to client meetings. They remembered me. And when I called them and explained that I was starting fresh with a new team and that the original company had changed direction, most of them didn't even hesitate. I wasn't stealing. These were my relationships. The ones I'd built. The ones Matt and his family had neglected while they were busy playing executive dress-up. But I wasn't done. Not even close. I also called a lawyer. A sharp, mean one out of Charleston who specialized in business fraud and silent partner disputes. I brought in all my documentation, laid it out, and let him read the files. He leaned back in his chair, smiled, and said, "This is going to be fun." I didn't tell anyone what I was doing, not even my parents. I wanted the dust to settle. Wanted Matt and his family to think I had walked away quietly. Let them celebrate. Let them get cocky. Meanwhile, I worked. Every night, every morning. Setting up the new firm. Building a real brand from the ground up again. One they couldn't touch. I named it something simple. Carolina Core Consulting. I wanted something that sounded stable, grounded, and more than anything, I wanted a name that had nothing to do with Matt. The clients started shifting over. Slowly at first, then faster. I didn't beg or persuade. I just told the truth. That the people they trusted were no longer there. That there had been changes I didn't agree with. That I was building something new with integrity and care. Half of them didn't even need a reason. They just said, "When can we sign?" By the second month, I had 4 full-time staff. I paid them well, better than Matt ever paid his team. I made sure we had real systems, real culture, the kind of place people wanted to stay at. I wasn't just trying to get even. I was building something they couldn't replicate because they never understood what made the business work to begin with. It wasn't the logo. It wasn't the pitch decks. It was me, my relationships, my late-night follow-ups, my honesty. But the real storm started the day Marissa called me. It was a Saturday. I was at home, folding laundry, when my phone rang. I didn't recognize the number, but I answered anyway. "Hello." There was silence for a second, then her voice, tight, irritated. "What the hell are you doing?" I didn't say anything. "You've been poaching clients." I laughed. "No. They came to me. Turns out they actually liked the coffee girl. Don't get smug. You signed a non-compete." No, Matt signed a non-compete after he removed me illegally from the business. I never signed anything because I was never supposed to be leaving. She was quiet again. I could hear her breathing, fuming. "You're going to regret this," she said finally. I just said, "No, you are." And I hung up. What they didn't know, and what I hadn't told anyone, was that the lawyer I hired had already filed suit. He'd uncovered documents proving they'd made changes to the business without my consent, despite my being listed as an original partner. They thought I'd never find out because they had their cousin, a paralegal, file the paperwork in a neighboring county. But I did find out. And now not only were they facing a civil suit for fraud and business theft, but the IRS was also sniffing around. The fake employees, the reclassified deductions, the fact that they'd written off Marissa's bachelorette trip to Nashville as a team-building retreat. All those receipts they threw around like candy? I had copies. I sent it all to my lawyer. He sent it to the right people. A month later, Matt's mother got audited. Then Matt got a letter too. Then Marissa. One by one, like dominoes. They tried to blame each other, tried to erase things, but the trail was too clear. Matt texted me at 2:41 a.m. On a random Tuesday. I got a message from him. "What are you trying to do to me?" I didn't respond. He sent another. "You're ruining my life. Is that what you want?" Still didn't respond. The next day I got served. They were suing me. They accused me of defamation, of client theft, of sabotage. I met with my lawyer again. He smiled. "Let them file. The more they talk, the deeper they sink." So we countersued. We filed a restraining order, too. Because what Matt didn't know is that I'd been recording. That meeting in the office. The one where Marissa called me nothing. I had recorded it. On my phone. And the part where Matt said, "It's for the best." Crystal clear audio. All admissible. The lawsuit gave us discovery access. And once we got into their emails, it got even worse. Turns out, Matt had been talking to a divorce attorney 6 months before I even knew he wanted to push me out. They'd been planning this. Slowly, carefully, grooming a narrative that I was unstable, over-involved, hard to work with. He'd even talked to our friends, people I thought were on my side, and planted the idea that I was struggling mentally, that I needed to step away from my health. I found one email he wrote to his mom. "Don't worry. Once she's out, it'll be clean. She doesn't have the stomach to fight." That's when I stopped being angry. I got cold, and I kept moving forward. I hired a PR firm, not for press, but for presentation. They helped me build clean public-facing materials, just in case things went public, just in case investors or clients started asking questions. I never lied. I just let the truth come out in full color. They kept trying to play dirty. They sent fake reviews to my company's Google page. I had them taken down. They tried to contact my clients, claiming I was being sued for illegal practices. One of my clients forwarded me the email. It was from Marissa's Gmail. She ended it with, "If you know what's good for your business, you'll stay with people who have real experience." He wrote back one sentence. "You mean the experience of scamming your own family?" I printed it and framed it. 3 weeks after they filed the lawsuit against me, something strange happened. Matt showed up at my apartment. He looked rough. He hadn't shaved. His dress shirt was wrinkled. He was holding a manila envelope. I didn't open the door right away. I just looked through the peephole for a few seconds, debating if I even wanted to hear his voice. But curiosity won. I cracked the door. He looked at me like he hadn't seen me in years. Like I was a stranger. "Can we talk?" he asked. No, he raised the envelope. "It's important." I sighed and stepped outside. I didn't want him in my space. "What is it?" He handed it to me, and for a second, I thought maybe it was some kind of peace offering. Maybe he was finally admitting what he'd done. But when I opened it, it wasn't an apology. It was a settlement agreement. It basically said that if I dropped my lawsuit and agreed to never publicly talk about the business again, he and his family would let me walk away peacefully. That's how it was worded. Let me. I looked up at him. "You really think you're in a position to let me do anything?" He rubbed his face, like he was exhausted. "We don't need to burn everything down, Mel." I hadn't heard him say my name in months. "You already did that," I said quietly. "I was trying to protect what we built. You were changing. You got too controlling. It wasn't working." I almost laughed. "I was working every day. You were on the golf course 3 times a week. I wasn't controlling. I was holding everything together." He looked away. I kept going. "You cut me out. You humiliated me. You let your sister call me a coffee girl in front of a room full of people. And now you want to offer me silence money." He started to say something, but I wasn't done. "You planned this. I saw the emails. The ones to your mom. The ones to your divorce attorney. You didn't just push me out. You built a whole narrative that I was losing it. Do you even know what that did to me?" He swallowed hard. "I made a mistake." "No. You made a choice." I handed the envelope back, and I walked back inside without saying another word. He stood there for a while, then left. I watched from the window as he sat in his car, just staring ahead. And for the first time, I didn't feel sad. I felt clear. But it got messy after that. 2 days later, one of our old employees, Jillian, called me. She was crying. "They fired me," she said. "No warning. No write-up. Just gone." Jillian was one of the few decent people left over there. She'd stayed because she had a kid and needed the health insurance. I knew that. She'd helped me for years. Quietly. Always had my back. She told me that Matt's mom had seen emails where Jillian had responded politely to one of my company's marketing newsletters. Nothing shady. Just polite. "Congrats on the launch." That's it. Apparently, that was enough for them to accuse her of disloyalty. They marched her out of the building in front of everyone. That's when I realized something. They weren't just spiraling. They were panicking. Because they knew what was coming. The audit. The lawsuits. The missing clients. The way the new company was thriving while their legacy firm was flailing. And now they were eating their own. I hired Jillian the next day. Gave her better pay. Remote flexibility. So she could be with her son more. And a bonus. She cried again, but for a different reason. The twist came a week later. I got a call from my lawyer. "There's a leak," he said. "What kind of leak?" He paused. "Someone inside your husband's family sent us internal emails, bank records, personal texts, from Marissa's phone." My stomach dropped. "Who?" "We don't know yet. It came anonymously. But it's gold." He wasn't exaggerating. Because buried in those files was something even I hadn't seen. Proof that Marissa had submitted fraudulent grant paperwork under my name. Apparently, 2 years ago, she'd applied for a state development grant using my credentials, claiming I was running a women-led business initiative under the umbrella of our firm. She'd forged my signature on the application, used my LinkedIn and bio, and then pocketed the $18,000 awarded under the program. I never saw that money. Never heard about the program. It was a felony. I felt sick. And also, strangely vindicated. They hadn't just betrayed me. They'd used me. Used my identity, my hard work, my face, my words, to get ahead. And then discarded me like trash. But now I had proof. We submitted it all to the court. And to the state funding office. That's when the real fallout began. Marissa posted a long, tear-filled video to her Instagram 2 days later. Something about being misunderstood. About haters. About people trying to bring her down. But no amount of crying would explain the forged government documents. The audit turned into a criminal investigation. And the cherry on top, Matt's parents, who had guaranteed the original loan on their business line of credit, were now being held financially responsible for unpaid payroll taxes. Over $62,000. Their retirement account. Frozen for review. Still, they kept fighting. Still, they thought they could bluff and threaten and gaslight their way through it. But I wasn't that girl anymore. And this wasn't over yet. The lawsuit dragged for another 5 months. Every week, something new surfaced. One of Matt's cousins came forward with texts showing that Matt and Marissa had bragged about the fake employee scheme at a Christmas party 2 years ago. Another former intern handed over a thumb drive with copies of internal spreadsheets that showed they'd hidden contractor payments from the IRS. They weren't careful. They thought they were above consequences. But people were watching. And people remember how I was treated. By summer, they were circling the drain. The business, our original firm, was hemorrhaging money. Clients had left in waves. The ones who stayed got nervous. Once the lawsuit and audit went public, yes, public, a local business blog ran a whole story on the legal battle. The headline was brutal. Local consulting firm faces fraud allegations after co-founder ousted in secret family coup. They included my name and a quote from the state's Office of Grant Oversight confirming a criminal referral had been made based on submitted evidence involving forged documentation and misuse of funds. The comment section lit up. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Let the truth sit in the open. Let the people who laughed at me feel that shame in their gut. That same week, I filed for divorce. Matt didn't respond at first. His lawyer did. Tried to negotiate. Said Matt was under significant emotional stress and wanted to handle things amicably. I told my lawyer to proceed without delay. No mediation. No soft exits. I wanted my name back. My records cleared. My half of everything I helped build. I didn't want a penny more than I earned. But I sure as hell wasn't walking away empty. In court, Matt sat across from me with his hair buzzed short and dark bags under his eyes. His mom didn't show up. Marissa didn't either. They were both busy dealing with their own legal problems. The judge didn't hold back. My lawyer laid out the timeline. My early contributions, the bank records, the removal of my name, the forged signature on the grant, the forged state documents. Matt's lawyer tried to argue that I had stepped away voluntarily. I had the recordings, the emails, the audio of Marissa calling me the coffee girl, and Matt saying, "It's for the best." The judge leaned forward and said one sentence I'll never forget. "You treated her like she was nothing, and now you're shocked she stood up?" The divorce was finalized in June. I got half of the remaining company assets, which wasn't much by then, but more importantly, I got the IP and name rights to the original website, branding, and marketing files. I didn't use them. I just wanted to make sure they couldn't. I heard through a friend that Matt moved back in with his parents. Their house went up for sale 3 weeks later. Rumor was they needed to pay back the IRS and fast. Retirement was off the table. Marissa? She pled guilty to 1 count of falsifying public documents in a deal to avoid jail. She got probation, a massive fine, and community service. And she's now permanently banned from applying for any government funding in South Carolina. She took her video down. Too late. Her name is tied to the story now. Forever. And Matt, he tried to apologize. Once. He called me one night in July. I picked up. I wanted to hear what he'd say. "Mel, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I lost everything." There was silence for a while. He sniffed. "I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought you'd be fine." I didn't respond right away. I wasn't angry anymore. I was just done. "I was fine," I said, "until you made me your enemy." More silence. "I still think about what we had," he whispered. "Don't," I said. "What we had died the day you let them laugh at me." Then I hung up. I haven't heard from him since. My business, Carolina Core, is doing well. Better than I ever expected. We expanded to Charleston and Asheville. I hired 2 more people. Jillian is now our operations director. She bought a house last month. Sent me a picture of her son playing in their backyard. That's what keeps me going. Not the money. Not the revenge. But the quiet peace of knowing I survived. I got back up. I didn't just walk away. I walked forward. And they're still stuck in the hole they dug for me. Only now they're buried in it.